Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2. Check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today, for here am I sitting in a tin can.
Good evening and welcome to the Kitchen Table on Radio Fodder. We begin tonight by acknowledging the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians on the land on which this program is being broadcast. We recognize First Nations peoples as the first storytellers, poets, and artists to practice on this land, and intend for tonight's program to continue respectfully in this tradition. This always was, and always will be, Aboriginal land. Hello and welcome to Radio Fodder.
Good evening,
You're
everybody.
Listening to the Kitchen Table. Thank you for putting up with some technical difficulties there. I'm glad to be on the air now with you, Eva. You're listening at just past 6 o'clock In this evening's episode, we're taking things into outer space. So there's been some really interesting news in terms of outer space.
Yeah, we'll start with the space highlights.
Yeah, Eva. In the last couple of months, we've had some.
I feel like we don't have the most recent things for people who are actual space experts here. You probably
No.
some people I know are obsessed with space and have like little notifications on their phones as soon as there are new little asteroids discovered. But we have some big things.
Yeah. Look, these are not exactly the most cutting edge pieces of news, but I've been fascinated to see a few things in the ABC and on the NASA website recently, just when I was doing some research for this evening's episode. Did you know, Eva, that there's been a new crater in the moon?
Oh, really?
Or actually a double crater, in fact. It's two overlapping
Where did it
craters.
come from?
It was created on about the 4th of March when a piece of space junk collided into the moon.
Oh.
It was
well, that's just typical, isn't it?
I know, typical. It's actually the first thing to accidentally hit the moon in this kind of way.
And it made a crater.
It
How
did.
large is this
Well,
crater? How large was this bit of space
This
junk?
thing was about 12 meters long. It's believed to be something like a rocket booster from a space flight about 12 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
It was traveling at about 4 times the speed of light. Sorry, sound. 4 times the speed of sound, and it made 2 overlapping craters, both 18 and 16 meters in diameter. Pretty
Wow.
crazy stuff. In other space news, we've had some excellent images come from the Hubble and James Webb telescopes, respectively. Some incredible new sights of our galaxy.
Exciting.
I know.
In one photo, they counted 42 galaxies. I think
I
new
know.
galaxies that were undiscovered. And if you've seen the photos, I'm sure some people have. They're just like these little dots of light.
I know, it's incredible, and it
they're whole galaxies.
makes you feel so small, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Truly. My last piece of news for this evening, and
This is my favorite.
arguably not news. Recently on Twitter, a French scientist by the name of Etienne Klein tweeted a photo of a sliced piece of chorizo and called it a star. And
How did people take
well, people
that?
believed them. So later they had to apologize because it wasn't in
Wow.
fact a star, but apparently.
Was there any?
Well, the
visual
explanation was
similarity?
it was a hoax intended to promote skepticism on social media, which fair enough. Although, I guess someone with the clout of an astrophysicist or whatever type of
Mhm.
scientist they were is probably pretty believable because everyone believed it. Although if you go back now, it's kind of a bit ludicrous. Actually, it's definitely a piece of chorizo. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And what, Hugo? Why are we talking about space this week? Did you go to the museum? I can't remember. I can't remember how we got onto this topic.
I don't even know particularly why. I've been in a kind of spacey mood,
Mhm.
I guess. Yeah.
I've been thinking about it recently. I was getting some blood taken out of me. Okay, that sounds ominous. This has a connection and a relevance. At hospital, I was getting a blood test, and they often just say random stuff to you to try and distract you. And as he jabbed the needle in, he asked me what my job was, and I said I wash artifacts for an archaeological company. I didn't mean to give away that much about myself. No, but he was saying that he had a friend who did the same at the Adelaide Museum in the 80s, and he was working there while they had loaned from NASA some pieces of the moon, and he got to hold them in his
Wow.
hands.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that just crazy?
Holding the moon.
Yeah. So
Apparently, moon dust smells like gunpowder.
not
so-
cheese.
Oh dear.
Wow, bad jokes.
All right. Well, look, Eva, let's get into some music, shall we?
Yeah,
and then we
have a lot of space related music for everyone tonight.
Yeah. So we'll get into some music.
Oh,
and
but
then
before we get started, I do want to say I was thinking about space music over the week, and not even music about space, but when you hear a great song, and you're feeling a bit existential, and maybe you've thought about a Marvel film recently. Not that I'm a huge fan, but they tend to play really funky tunes over these like dramatic scenes. And I was just wondering, to all of our listeners out there, what is one song, if there was like a slow motion scene of the end of the world, like a song that you would hear bopping in the background? So if you want to tell us, get in contact, send us a text on Instagram, which is at thekitchentable.radio, and yeah, let us know, and we'll read them out at the end of the episode if we get any people.
Yeah, fantastic. Alrighty, well, with that, let's hear some music. I'm going to play Sun Ra, Nuclear War. Bit of a language warning for this one, but I hope you enjoy.
Nuclear war. Nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. Nuclear war. The nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. It's a motherfucker. Don't you know? They're talking about nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. It's a motherfucker, don't you know? It's a motherfucker, don't you know? If they push that button, your ass got to go. It's a motherfucker, don't you know? If they push that button, your ass got to go. They're talking about nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. If they push that button, your ass got to go. They're talking about this nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. If they push that button, your ass got to go. If they push that button, your ass got to go. Gonna blast you so high in the sky. Gonna blast you so high in the sky. You can kiss your ass goodbye. You can kiss your ass goodbye. You can kiss your ass goodbye. If they push that button. If they push that button. Gonna blast your ass so high in the sky. You can kiss your ass goodbye. You can kiss your ass goodbye. You can kiss your ass goodbye. If they push that button, they push that button. You can kiss your ass goodbye. Kiss your ass goodbye. They're talking about nuclear war. They're talking.
You're listening to Radio Fodder, and you're at the kitchen table with me, Hugo, and Eva.
Hi guys. Hugo, what were we just listening to?
Sorry, Eva, your mic wasn't on there.
So rude. My mic wasn't on. What were we just listening to?
We were listening to Sun Ra there, and I best explain why I picked Sun Ra. I mean, obviously, apart from the name Sun, for our space-themed show this evening. And it's because of him as an artist and his exquisite discography.
It was so groovy.
And it is truly the most cosmic, space-themed set of music I could possibly imagine. A bit of information on Sun Ra. He was an experimental jazz musician, active from 1934 till 92. What a massive career.
Yeah, wow.
In fact, his discographies is one of the largest in music history, with over 100 albums and 1,000 songs in that. He is therefore one of the most prolific artists of the 20th century. So where Sun Ra's biography is concerned, he claims that he was an alien life form whose origins trace back to the planet Saturn.
Please expand on this.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's from Saturn.
Okay.
So, I mean, that being said, he predominantly worked in Chicago, New York, and Philadelphia, where he was a pioneer of the Afrofuturism genre and movement. Performances with his orchestra, the Sun Ra Orchestra, incorporated ancient Egyptian clothing, mythology, and were also fused with this really highly futuristic iconography. So he is just a fantastic figure of the space age. And the song that you just heard was called Nuclear War. It's so difficult to pick a single Sun Ra song to play. One of his most famous is Space is the Place, but I picked that one for us this evening because it's just one of my absolute favorites. It's near and dear to my heart.
What a mesmerizing character. And
Really.
I haven't quite let go of the fact that he claims to be extraterrestrial, but we won't dive into that there. But why don't we move on to another song focusing on sun deities. This is Sun God, I'll Be Your Woman.
1, 2, 3.
Sun God, make me, I'll be your woman. Shelter our soul. I have arms of a warrior and the voice of angel leads go. Sun God, make me, I'll be your woman. Carry my bones. I have arms of a warrior and the voice of angel leads go. Diamond, raise me. I am your ocean recurrent. Paddle my rose. I have the legs of a wonder and the heart of a dread. Diamond, raise me. I am your ocean reborn. Paddle my throne. I have the scream of a happy soul and the heart of gold. La 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 pick me, I'll be your woman. Shelter a soul, and the arms of a warrior, and the voice of angel laser beams go. Sun God, pick me, I'll be your woman. Shelter our soul. I have arms of a warrior and the voice of angel laser beams go. Sun God, pick me, I'll be your woman. Carry my bones. I have arms of a warrior and the voice of angel laser beams go.
That was A.E. Mac, Sun God, I'll Be a Woman. She is an up-and-coming Dublin pop artist. Very interesting sounds happening. I read an article about her that described her music as primitive vocal rhythms and infectious melody, which sail a sea of electronica, which I think actually connects back to our episode last week, and we were talking about the relationship between electronica and waves and ocean, but also just like sound and light waves. There's something about that music that's very floaty.
And light filled.
Yeah. Light filled like sun. That music was inspired by the ancient deity Tiamat, who's a primordial sea goddess and a goddess of chaos and the sun. And my favorite thing about that song is that to channel sort of the noises of antiquity, she's using a kazoo. So
I did pick up on it. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that shrill sound couldn't be anything but a
such
kazoo,
groovy
could it?
sound though. Anyway, this is the kitchen table, which means we are of course having dinner. Hugo,
Of course.
do you want to talk about what we're eating
We
tonight?
ought to talk about dinner this evening. Now, look, it's been fairly light on this week. I can't say I've been up to any.
Extravagant cooking.
That's exactly right. And you know, thinking about what an astronaut might eat was quite difficult. I didn't have any freeze-dried recipes per se, but I was thinking about something that you could maybe freeze-dry, or more so just a concept that the folks at home can run with and can make their own. Perhaps any of the folks traveling to space might take it with them. I'm talking about scrambled tofu.
This is something you've mentioned to me before, and I was really, really confused by.
It's fantastic.
Do you do it with silken tofu?
No, actually, you do it with firm tofu.
Okay.
I would be interested to try it with silken tofu, although I think you'd get a different effect. Scrambled
Tofu rather firm, or do you really mush it?
Well, you have to scramble it by hand. It's
Yeah,
quite a
okay.
physical process, actually. And I'll give credit to Rosa because she cooked this week at home, and did an excellent job. Take on a scrambled tofu recipe, just an example that the listeners might be interested in trying out for themselves. You can get a block of tofu, halve it if you don't, feel too hungry. I'm a big fan of adobo chilies, which you can find at Coles in a jar. They have just such a beautiful, strong flavor. Make up a kind of slurry with, I'm going to say, adobo chilies, some apple cider vinegar, some miso, and some paprika. Now, obviously, you can go all out. You can add your nutritional yeast. You could switch things out for turmeric and have a nice yellow color if you wanted to emulate scrambled eggs. But I'm not kidding myself here. It's not an egg, it's tofu. So I'm happy for it to be bright red because it looks fantastic. So you're literally
And
going
there's something so gorgeous about paprika
I
on
know,
anything.
it's just
It's the
fantastic.
most beautiful color.
especially smoked paprika. That's
Yeah.
what I'm calling for in this recipe.
I had smoked paprika the other day. That's the end of that.
And it was obviously very
Yeah, it
memorable.
was amazing. I just have been thinking about it recently a lot.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. So literally stick it in a bowl and mash it up. Get your hands in there, scramble it up. You will get a scrambled
Get
texture.
grubby.
You don't have to, but I recommend frying it off in a nice hot fry pan. It'll just be...
Do you sometimes not fry?
Well, you don't have to. You don't actually have to cook tofu.
I know that actually. I sometimes have tofu in my sandwich,
I know,
just like
it's-
slices of it.
Oh, it's so good.
So good.
I'm sure some of the folks at home will not be particularly keen on that idea, but I recommend that you try it out nonetheless. Now, with dinner sorted, Eva, we should maybe continue the space exploration.
Let's switch over to the other,
The other
the
side.
counterpart of the sun.
The moon. Of course.
Yeah. So, did we have any cool anecdotes about the moon? I don't know. I had the person who held a piece of the moon.
Yeah.
That was so cool. I haven't quite moved on past that.
Well, with that being said then, Eva, I reckon we should jump into a moon track.
Yes.
I'm thinking of
Possibly the best moon track of all time.
Well, it's one of my favorites. It's on vinyl in the studio right now. So let's crank up the turntable and let's hear Pink Moon by Nick Drake.
I saw it written and I saw it say, the pink moon is on its way. None of you stand so tall. The pink moon gonna get you. Oh, it's a pink moon. Zoe written and a Zoe say. The Bingo Moon is on its way. None of you stand so tall. The Bingo Moon gonna get you home. It's a Bingo Moon. Yes, a Bingo Moon.
And that was Pink Moon by Nick Drake. Just such a lovely track. I just love the kind of gentle aura that it has about it.
It's so cute. It always makes me think of, for some reason, baby's feet in wet grass, which is not even a space association. But, you know, something I've actually been thinking about with our space theme, we really randomly chose songs that kind of had space-related things in the title. So I will tell you, this isn't a really hard-hitting exploration of space and
It's
human
not.
relationships. But I was thinking that I think the reason for a lot of this music being like that is that anytime we try and explore space, we always come back to ourselves because it's such an unknown. Like, we have no...
Yeah.
It's a really difficult topic to explore without just ending up talking about humanity because we're so locked in our own perspective of the world
I think you're dead right there. Yeah.
that whenever we talk about space, it's kind of just a meditation on who are we, not really...
It is. And stargazing
Who's
is kind
anyone
of such a personal concept, you know? I mean, I don't imagine Nick Drake is really flying through space when he sings Pink Moon. He's more staring
What?
up. He's more... I imagine him staring up from his feet firmly planted on Earth,
Yeah.
staring up at a beautiful pink moon. Well, let's go into another moon-themed song, shall we?
Yeah.
You're listening to Radio Fodder. This is The Kitchen Table. Hope you enjoy.
Ever since I was a kid, you sure look good to me. Now I'm a man full grown and I know what I hate to see. It might be tomorrow, I just don't know. It might take years, I wonder when they're going to destroy your face. It may seem silly, but I don't like what's been coming down. 'Cause you've been looking good too long to change your color now. They might test some bombs and scar your skin. I don't think they care, so I wonder when they're going to destroy your face. I hope I'll see you in the sky at night when I get old. I hope you'll look about the same as when I was a boy. It gets me to gasping when I think about what they might do. I wonder when they're going to destroy your face. Well, you sure look good in the sky at night. And it's sad to say you won't shine so bright when they're through with you. I bet you've seen the love we made that covers up LA. I wonder if you'll hide behind a shroud like that someday. I'm worried about it. It makes me I wonder when they're going to destroy your faith. It might be tomorrow. I just don't know. It might take years. I wonder when they're going to destroy your faith.
That was Poor Moon by Canned Heat, an interesting group who started in 1969. They're one of those Woodstock groups that made a name for themselves through festivals, but and one of their members was part of that 27 Club, Blind Al Wilson, artist who died at the age of 27, tragically talented artist. But what's interesting about this group is that all the original members, except the drummer, have left and they're still going. And I was just thinking about this, Hugo. How does a band where most of its members have left retain its original sound?
Well, that's a good question. You know, that reminds me of the shipbuilder's paradox. If someone
that philosophical thing
has a wooden ship and each day they replace a plank of wood on the ship until a year later they have a brand new ship where they've replaced every single plank of wood, except then they take all of the old pieces of wood, which they just happens to put in a pile, and they build another ship out of the old scrap wood. Which one is the original boat?
Okay, but also, like, from the moment the ship is built, even during the process of it being built, like, molecules and atoms are shifting and transferring and moving
how
around.
meta.
So is it ever, like, physically one, like, solid thing? It's
just a concept.
It's got a fluid identity. We've just got a concept of a ship.
Well, I mean, then we just have a concept of canned heat,
True.
don't we?
Were the members ever the same from the start? They were shedding biological material constantly.
They were indeed.
There must have been so many, like, Beatles variations then. We thought there were only 4 Beatles. We were wrong.
You're listening to Radio Fodder. This is the kitchen table. The time is 6:35 p.m. and you're joining us on our intergalactic exploration of sonic waves.
And with that said, we're going to go into a song called Venus.
Was it tight tonight? Streets so bright. The world was so thin between my bones and skin. There stood another person who was a little surprised to be face to face with a world so alive. How I felt. Did you feel low? Nah. I fell right into the arms. Venus and Milo. You know it's all like some new kind of drug. My senses are sharp and my hands are like gloves. Broadway looks so medieval. It seemed to flap like little pages, and I fell sideways laughing with a friend from many stages. How we felt. Did you feel low? Not at all. I fell right into the arms. Venus to Milo.
You're listening to Radio Fodder, and you're at the kitchen table. That was Venus by Television, off of their album Marquee Moon. Now, Eva, I think you have some interesting info
I
on
do indeed.
Television, don't you?
Television are a great band. They're kind of like the original. They really set the stage for post-punk. They formed around the same time as Canned Heat, actually. But while Canned Heat kind of embraced like the blues influences of rock, they really didn't reject it, and they had this much more twangy sort of garage rock sound happening. I was so excited. They did a lot of cool things. I can't rant about them all day because they're not even that space related. But both Hugo and I, if you listen to the show at all, will know. Everyone will know that we're big Patti Smith fans, and I had no clue that the main guitarist of Television played guitar on Patti Smith's first single, Piss Factory.
Well, would you look at that?
I know. Apparently, they also dated, and in addition, I got so excited about this little cultural rabbit hole and leapt down it and was doing all this research. And apparently, there was a while where they sort of patronized this little club called the CBGB, where a lot of punk bands.
Yeah, it's a pretty
up.
iconic New York venue.
Yeah, but it was their place for a while. And when they were starting out, Patti reviewed one of their shows before she was even a musician. She was just a performance poet, artist, and journalist at the time. And I was reading this piece she wrote about them, and it's just so iconically Patti. And she writes in this, if you've ever heard her gravelly, raw voice, you can't read anything she's written without hearing it in that voice. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And, I even listened to an audiobook of M Train one time, and it was almost like she was kind of caricaturing herself. The graveliness of the audiobook was so intense.
Well, she's very performative, when she speaks. But she has this gorgeous curling tone, and
it's just fantastic.
A wave lapping at a shore.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, so it's going to sound terrible when I read out this line, because it won't be in Patti's voice, but just the description of the bassist had me cackling, and she just said, his bass is total trash, a metallic gold fleck piece of shit he got in some pawn shop for $41. He has a driving, monotonous way of playing it that comes on real sexy. He's also a real fast mouth, spits those jokes from the spleen and keeps them coming. Spits the jokes from the spleen. I mean, only Patti could have come up with that. It's somehow so offensive and such a good compliment at the same time.
I know. Backhanded compliment.
Yeah. Anyway, it's totally off the topic of space. So with that said, let's talk instead about we normally talk about films and culture. So Hugo, any films about space that have a special place in your heart?
Oh, most certainly. There is a very special film which I was an absolute massive fan of in my younger days.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the 1995 dramatization of Apollo 13, starring Tom Hanks. Now, this film was really quite remarkable. I have a feeling if I went back and watched it now, I'd appreciate how hammy it is. But there was a moment there where I was, and I'm talking about probably like an 8-year-old, was just truly obsessed with the story of Apollo 13, this kind of space disaster. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Apollo 13 was a 1970 NASA trip that was intended to go to the moon. It was the 7th crewed Apollo space mission and the 3rd, which was meant to land on the moon. Except 2 days into the mission, there was an explosion in the oxygen tank of the spacecraft. I mean, this effectively kind of put them all in jeopardy and threatened their lives. So the crew were forced to all kind of clamber into this very small section of the lunar module, I believe it's called, with
Technical term.
limited power supplies, limited oxygen, of course. And instead of landing on the moon, they slingshotted themselves around the moon and used moon's gravitational pull to effectively slingshot themselves back to Earth. And this took another 3 days with them
my
all cramped
goodness.
into a tiny little box.
That's
But they
so-
all made it.
Yeah, that's just incredible.
It's quite an interesting story. It's, of course, where we get the classic phrase, Houston, we have a problem. It is what Jim Lovell, I believe, who was one of the space people, astronauts on the ship,
people.
said to Houston.
Extraterrestrial life form.
Truly, Sun Ra. Anyway, Eva, how about yourself? Is there
Well,
anything
I
you
do
like?
have something to talk about. But before we get to it, just thinking of human ingenuity in space, why don't we play Satellite of Love?
Oh, truly, that is an excellent idea.
Uh-huh.
So we'll hear it right now.
Satellites gone up to the skies. Things like that drive me out of my mind. I watched it for a little while. I like to watch things on TV. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of. Satellite's gone way up to Mars. Soon it'll be filled with parking cars. I watched it for a little while. I love to watch things on TV. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of. I've been told that you've been bold with Harry, Mark, and John. Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday to Thursday with Harry, Mark, and John. Satellites gone up to the skies. Things like that drive me out of my mind. I watched it for a little while. I love to watch things on TV. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite of love. Satellite
You are listening to The Kitchen Table. That was Satellite of Love by Lou Reed. We're talking about space tonight, and I think I was going to mention, I don't know, my space cultural reference.
Yeah, Eva, you were telling me, well, we were having a bit of a chat together,
Yeah.
weren't we? But you've got a reading for us.
Oh,
Is that
I
right?
do. Yeah, I don't know. I was struggling to pick a passage, which I'm normally pretty good at. I'm sure most people know about the series Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever been written about space. It is the most hilarious, absurd exploration of the things we don't understand that are out there, which is what's so good about it. And it deals with all the complexities of humanity, but just talks about mundane things like teacups at the same time.
It really doesn't take itself too seriously, does it?
No, I mean, it's the series that said that the answer to life, the universe, and everything was 42.
I know, truly.
Yeah, and the question was 6 times 7. Okay. I don't think we even have time for a long extract, but what I will say is that my favorite passage from the chapter I was reading last night when I revisited this book was they're in a ship and just the main characters, a motley crew of strange people, some of them extraterrestrial, and there's a button that like randomly generates happenings into the universe. It just things happen.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, and this whale, a sperm whale, appears out of nowhere above a planet and plummets. And we get to kind of meet its like consciousness in like the 5 seconds it has to live, and it's so tragic. It says, what is happening? It thought. Excuse me, who am I? Hello? Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? What do I mean by who I am? And then it like goes through this whole passage of being like, deciding what the things around it are called, and it names itself, and then it splats on the ground, and it's really sad. And then after that, there's just the chapter ends with, because not only is a whale like brought into existence, there's also a bowl of petunias. And curiously enough, the only thing that went through the mind of the bowl of petunias as it fell was, oh no, not again. Many people have speculated that if we knew exactly why the bowl of petunias had thought that, we would know a lot about the nature of the universe, a lot more than we do now. Yeah, and that kind of ridiculous take on the universe is honestly the best to me, because how else can you even deal otherwise with the craziness of what's out there? Like the fact that the universe is just expanding, and it's one day it's going to expand so much that the light and like energy from stars won't be able to, obviously Earth's probably going to be incinerated by our expanding star before that, but you know, the light won't even reach any sort of planet, so life would be impossible because the universe will just have expanded too much.
So many problems, and
let's
the
not
answer
think about it too
is
much.
absurdity.
And
Let's play another song,
yeah.
shall we? We're going to play a T-Rex song. This is called Spaceball Ricochet.
Just a man. I understand the wind and all the things that make the children cry. With my Les Paul, I know I'm small, but I enjoy living anyway. Book after book, I get hooked every time the writer talks to me like a friend. What can I do? We just live in a zoo. All I do is play the spaceball ricochet. Deep in my heart, there's a house that can hold just about all of you. I bought a car, it was old but kind. I gave it my mind and it disappeared. I love a girl, she is a changeless angel, she's a city. It's a pity that I'm like me, yeah. I said, how can I live when all I do is play the spaceball ricochet? I'm just a man, understand the wind in all the things that make the children cry. With my Les Paul, I know I'm small, but I enjoy living anyway. Yes, I do. Deep in my heart, there's a house that can hold just about all of you. How can I live when all I do is play the spaceball ricochet? Oh baby, the spaceball ricochet. Oh mama, the spaceball. Oh, do the spaceball. Oh, do the spaceball. Oh yeah, do the spaceball. Oh yeah, oh, do the spaceball.
That was Spaceball Ricochet by T-Rex. You've been listening to The Kitchen Table on Radio Fodder. Well, we're getting towards the end tonight, Hugo.
Yeah, that's right. The time is approaching 7 p.m. And with that, I think that probably concludes our space adventure.
Yeah. I don't think we got very far from Earth, but we tried.
We took a walk around the
Not as far as
block.
Sun Ra.
Not as far as Sun Ra. We'll never get that far.
Before we end, excitingly, one of our listeners got in touch and told us the song that they'd like to play as the world ended. Fly Me to the Moon. That's by
Sinatra,
isn't it? Yeah.
Good choice. I think
Great
that's
choice.
Yeah, and I like. I can see it with a kind of melancholy edge to it, as you watched everything kind of crumble away before you.
Yeah. How beautifully devastating. I wish we had time to play that for you tonight, but we don't.
Sorry about that. Well, you've been at the kitchen table with myself, Hugo.
And me, Eva.
And you've been listening on Radio Fodder. That's all for this evening. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is @thekitchentable.radio. And make sure you tune in next week, Thursday at 6 p.m. And we will see you later.
Bye.
Says it's time to close now.